I think we're going to start. Hello, welcome everyone. Can you hear me okay? Yes, great. Thank you for joining us tonight. I'm Robert Gonzalez. I'm the Dean here at the School of Architecture and Planning. Thank you for joining us to the 2023 Jeff Harnar Lecture and Awards Ceremony. I'm going to start us off with a land acknowledgement. Founded in 1889, the University of New Mexico sits on the traditional homelands of the Pueblo of Sandia, the original peoples of New Mexico, Pueblo, Navajo, Diné, and Apache. Since time immemorial, have deep connections to the land and have made significant contributions to the broader community statewide. We honor the land itself and those who remain stewards of this land throughout the generations, and acknowledge our committed relationship to Indigenous peoples. We gratefully recognize our history. So I want to begin also with a big thank you to the Thornburg Foundation for making the awards program possible. I want to start with Garrett Thornburg, who is not with us here today. He is the chairman of the board of the Thornburg Foundation. Mr. Thornburg personally leads the foundation's philanthropic efforts, which are, quote, the Thornburg Foundation invests in enduring solutions to help solving problems affecting people and our planet. So in the last 10 years, the foundation has awarded more than 42 million in grants to outstanding nonprofits across New Mexico. It launched 3 strategic initiatives in the areas of good government reform, early childhood education, and food and agriculture. And in 2021, the foundation added a new strategic initiative focusing on advancing water policy reform, seeking to positively transform water management here in New Mexico. Thank you to Leslie Garcia, who is the Administrative Director and Community Funding Officer for the Foundation, and Alan Oliver, Executive Director of the Thornburg Foundation, for guiding us through our award program. And we work with the Foundation every year to set it up. And I'm going to invite at this moment Alan Oliver down here to say a few words about the Foundation.
Thank you, Dean Gonzalez, and thank you everybody very much for being here. Can you hear me in the back? I have a bit of a quiet voice, so I'll try and do my best to project. But I want to just thank you all very much for being here. Thank you, the UNM School of Architecture and Design. This is something that we're just deeply proud of. It's so fantastic to see it evolve so much over the years. We ourselves as a foundation, as the dean has alluded to, we've been learning ourselves. We have this belief of trying to always go upstream on issues, and quite literally upstream when we're adding in water and thinking around sustainability and thinking around sustainable agriculture, as well as thinking about K-12 and thinking about our future when we think about young people entering into education and into the workforce. I think, so Garrett created this award for his friend, Jeff Harnar. And I think what he would say if he was here is that Jeff was a dear friend who had a passion for architecture, had a deep passion for contemporary architecture, and was always innovating. And you'll see his designs all over Santa Fe and northern New Mexico. And I think that the legacy of bears his name, but really just seeing the work and the lectures that come forward are absolutely fantastic. I and my team, and I know Garrett, really love listening to the lectures. And I have to say, I love the awards maybe even a little bit more. Well, because like the awards have also been changing, right? They really have been changing and expanding into different different subject areas. But most importantly, and I do this with a little bit of a hat tip because my son is here, to the next generation, because it's not just awarding those architects in the field, excuse me, but then also students. And we're just, I mean, I love that every year. It's always like, that's the one that gets the loudest applause. So with that, I would just simply say thank you all very much for being here. We're honored to support this wonderful program. And I'm going to go and enjoy the lecture and like the rest of you all. So thanks.
Thank you, Alan. I also want to say a very special thank you to Rachel Jump, Administrative Assistant to the Dean here. Rachel, are you here? Rachel makes all of this happen. She is a superstar. And also Anthony Fetes, Assistant Professor of Landscape Architecture, who coordinates the award. Thank you, Tony. So we always begin with a keynote. And this year we've invited Ted Flato of Lake Flato Architects. They're out of San Antonio and Austin. I remember back when I was, I think in second year, they were designing these just amazing I couldn't even imagine anything like it because it was so raw and beautiful and natural and inspiring. And we've seen that firm blossom over the years. I'll talk a little bit about Ted. He received wide acclaim with the firm both nationally and internationally for his straightforward regional designs, which incorporate indigenous building forms and materials that respond to the context of their landscape. By applying sustainable strategies to a wide variety of building types and scales, Ted seeks to conserve energy and natural resources while creating healthy built environments. His projects are always sensitive to the climate, whether along the Gulf Coast, Northeast, West Texas, or Southern California. His recent focus has been on residential higher education and eco-conservatism conservation projects, including the AIA Committee of the Environment Coat Top Award winning ASU Polytechnic Academic Campus in Mesa, Arizona, the new Midtown Arts and Theater Center in Houston, Texas, and the Naples Botanical Garden Visitor Center in Florida. Ted received his Bachelor's of Science in Architecture from Stanford University, and this year he's serving as a member of the Wholesome Awards jury in North America. Please join me in welcoming Ted.
Well, it's great to be back here. I was lucky enough to. Is this a little loud? It seems like, is it echoing a little bit, or is it okay? It's okay. Great. Anyway, I was lucky enough to get to. What's that? Oh, the line is a good idea. All right. You guys are in charge. Anyway, I was lucky enough to be invited to being on the class years ago. So I appreciate this environment. Be involved in this story, which has been really fun. Getting to meeting with old friends and new friends, talking about the award winners of the award, myriad of proposals or projects that submitted to us, in a common denominator of often the projects that had great architecture and landscape architecture. And we talked about, this important work program and all the other projects. David and Robert and others in expanding for the student work and general work, and we got there talking about the obvious thing that this the domain architecture award should also reach out and more involved with landscape architecture and And also we love the idea that it's not constrained to these western straight lines, the forest studies. So instead, it's a gateway line that actually goes out into the Mojave Desert, Chihuahua Desert, Mexico. It's essentially the Chevy we had a lot of fun talking about it. So thank you for asking us to come here and talk about architecture. So I wanted to give you a little background on Lake Flato, and then I'll get we Dave and I started our firm about 30 years ago, and we started had to be collaborative, and then we also were really lucky to start projects like this. The projects in the country where the goals of our clients was connect to the outdoors and connect to the environment. And so I like to say style to the back seat on these projects. And it's really about how to make building that was seamlessly connected to the environment. It was a part of the environment. And thinking about kind of spaces that would be that would augment that experience. Often there were more fortunate houses, we used to say. And then because we were working in kind of remote locations, we needed to leverage what the particular areas had to offer in terms of craft and material. So that is a very important component of these projects. And it allowed us at small scale, it allowed us to own the philosophy that came pretty naturally to us. It's being sort of odd growth of the fifth generation ranching family from Central Texas, and so very comfortable in the outdoors, very much the experience of growing up along the river had a huge impact. It was similar to David. So we were able to create this early philosophy that the architecture should be a part of the environment, materials should be other place, that landscape is an incredibly important component of that approach, and then sustainability is the actual output of that approach. And by having a philosophy, it's a pretty easy philosophy for a lot of people to engage or to adopt. We were able to grow the firm without and still have to work pretty consistent. And then you're also able to expand the opportunities of projects, so we don't scale really easily. And we have that philosophy always running through projects. And our clients, we were lucky that our clients were also coming to us because they also saw that philosophy, embraced that philosophy, and then their projects allowed us to continue in that direction. And this shot here is one of my favorite times of the year. The ranch, so the ranch is going to be part of our office as well. We go out on the event, 100 people. This is our mini version of what we saw. We put up these 10 and 25 acres and we evolved over the years. And we also made a structure that we didn't have enough shade on the river, so we made shade in another location. Built. This is a great architects that came up from just a weekend. They'll build a lot of different smaller structures over the years, whether they're whether they're built by some people in the office, or they're built by the ours during COVID. And in COVID, it's a challenging time, but for us, there was some line. What it allowed us to do is pause for a little while. We've been working on so at the time, it's out now. And both sides have crushed the deadlines, and this is different. But because of COVID, the deadline suddenly, and it gave us the opportunity to pause and think, well, rather than our work, we should think about our process. Instead of time and budget, be able to sensitive work with the but we had time, and it was really helpful. And we spent a lot of time out in this shelter with my kids talking about architecture. So it's really fun. But the distinction was a great opportunity. It was also very challenging, but it's all about collaboration. So we were also simultaneously renovating our office, and we had a plan. We had an office. We had size that they were. We had three times as many people in the same space, space, for 40 years. But the big game changer, one of them was called S. We kind of signed up for no one else has anymore in our office, but we made the space adjacent to our cars. We took the room off, we planted Mexican sycamores, which are now, screwed up in the air, and we put a wonderful pavilion. And we strategically located our living room of our office right adjacent to that, and this marvelous new kitchen. This huge kitchen with great tables, and it has been one we couldn't wait to get back together. And to the office space was similar. It's been really great. So this is just we just made this last week. That's not what I'm doing. This is what I'm calling a multi-market housing project. So because it's market and triple markets, the only inverters cannot live in they person project by people they could not find a natural environment longer. Part of it is because Native Americans cut these like forests and time asparagus competitive about cooking in gas and stuff. So, but this also I just want to share these are the things we were getting to do when we worked together. And suddenly now together, so this intern was working with me on this, another associate, and doing these kind of sketches, which we used to always do. We still both my drawings. All my drawings, I find this quite hard. So now I'm on this body talk about the house look the way we organize that, how we organize this fall from our process. And we use the word to illustrate how we approach this. And we began because and we love getting to meet our clients on the land, and it doesn't matter the scale. It's still the same issue of getting to know the place, talking with them, and simultaneously talking about their programs, but in a manner. So that you're trying to program the land rather than discussing what is appropriate and what's not appropriate. And so it's helpful. And that is the product. The very first one I thought was interesting to share with you. Robert knows the owners, Schwartz is the El Casa program. And this was the boss there inspired project. It was some of the used work. John Henderson needs to be over there. John, are you here? Oh, yeah, there's John in the box. So it's important now that John designed beautiful concrete technology and it's on the high side. It's over so fast forward, it's kids, they thought they were find him, and so we needed to do that. So what we did was being building or the inside. So this is going to be the land. This is all about making Reagan one of the big courtyard space where you can see the sky. Because, we were kind of fighting the train on this side. So we could get a big sky, we could get pieces around, and we would edit out the neighbors' houses. So we built the house just with concrete walls around the perimeter. Steel and glass. But it was all about the courtyard and thinking about how the program would handle that space. So creating a fabulous student space where we were attending and had an incredible collection of muscle cars. This is one of the laws. Player in the courtyards. Muscle cars are all part of the courtyard. And this one. Things, the idea of embracing this new landscape opportunity and then courtyard. So, one of my favorites was when we were working, we were invited to work at State University. And the assignment was a set project, we had a set budget, taxpayer dollars, we had to deliver that number. And then we had this very interesting side, which was an old Army base. And so it was all concrete and all the, all the services, all the storm sewer stuff was all under concrete, and it was everything that the desert was. So it was just outside, and so we did that same idea of the sale, the clients, the clients, the idea of talking about the importance of. So we had a budget, we had lots of probably 140,000 square feet to play with. So we had to scale to create a new campus. But the challenge is the budget of all just a box. So we talked about ways of having more out of circulation, therefore the ability to have these kind of mini courts with a big basketball running down through the belt. And so that is ultimately what we did. Had great collaboration with Christy Tenai, who's landscape architect at the time, was in Phoenix and now is in Austin. And so this is the Desert Wall. And then this is the Desert Wall is, it's a desert walks and it's the water that's all the fluid space, and ultimately it's held in this amphitheater down the end. But the collection of buildings that were along the south side of this new desert mall, and these kind of spaces that draw you in. And some of my favorite spaces, this is where we were, where we did all the lawn circulation. We had a huge amount of circulation, indoors, and actually what we did by putting it outdoors was money. We had these narrow spaces that were like the streets of Marrakesh. They have perforated metal above, and slow systems running through it, but it invited people into stuff. So and it was great. And it's also ready to deal with the low angle user investment. So we had two different sides that were facing each other, not having to deal with that kind of stuff. And I enjoy kind of sharing this two scales of concept. I'm working on a house scale and working on a university scale. It's quite delightful in that you can do different things, get different issues above that. So that contrast and that change is really nice. In this case, this is the range. It's on a kind of a flat top mesa. Normally, we would not put buildings up on hills, but this is an unusual hill. Trees on it, it's nice to flat top. They didn't have kind of a lovely river and things that you sometimes get in buildings. So what we wanted to do there was also take one of the problems and start to talk about how the program could make a space on top of this kind of river and shaped base. And so it's the main house and next house. But the idea was the station limestone, and using those walls to start to define and have a relationship with each other. And so it's small little buildings, a larger, broader landscape, collaborating with Terry Harnar, with the studio outside of there in Dallas. But the idea, a lot of the interest, staying outdoors as much as we possibly can with a project like this. But then, and then there's the SL. There's another series of stone walls, the main space in the landscape. Through those walls, now different presentations of distant landscape. This is links, so the rivers, the sun, so you have the sun issues. The pool is sort of opening up and embracing the landscape that belongs to our parents' place. Now, on the scale was the work that we started massive planning probably 10 years ago for a person who bought the old purple room. Is about a mile or so upstream from the core of downtown. And it was an area, it was an industrial area where the Germans would put their breweries there. There was, when we were getting to work on it, there was a lot more asphalt than anything else. And so the key there was creating a plan that followed out all the outdoor spaces simultaneously. And we were very lucky, our developer was not a professional developer, so professional developer probably needed to get a return a lot quicker. We probably voting up the land pieces. Instead, we were able to do a true master plan and then start to check off the boxes and slowly create a brand and a place for this really transformative project for San Antonio. It's had ripple effects all around it. It's also allowed us to now on scale, get into a number of design projects. But we took the client on kind of a tour of, some great Mexican plazas, paced them off, talked about the scale of those spaces, because that some of this is existing, but a lot of that is new. And so we needed to, make space with the new buildings, and then also bring back these the ones that lost in the sense of the grid, but it had a kind of screwy, arrangement through it that had interesting routes. And so we created the opportunity in the surface stage where you fly, but now in the latter stages, you stop traffic. So it's a way to introduce a lot of the ideas of the place easier to people, make it more accessible. And then, it was a lot about the landscape. And again, we worked with 3 different landscape architects for years on this project. And it was, it's what we love doing. It's what we're lucky enough to get to work with really great talent all over the country. And one of the things is that we just ask that we get to be involved in the landscape as well as we have them to be involved in buildings. It's kind of work on these projects. So, and then we, some of the investor buildings in the Europe state are really important, just because it's important during the environments. They took buildings, this was called a Fulton's building, and it was not a very impressive building. It was a 1-story big warehouse thing, all 1 stories, 2 stories in it. We got it in the middle of the house, made a big long breezeway and created opportunities to live on the building projects from scratch. And this turned out, it's raw, it's interesting, and it's probably one of the more popular buildings. It's also been interesting. We set it in the direction we're going on this project, but it's also allowed a lot of other hands. So, like our office, it often has different people working on the projects, embracing the same philosophy and often leveraging that new perspective. And we think the work gets better over time. This was a project also where they started hiring a new office. So that was in our office, and it's delightful to see it evolve in a really kind of fluid and natural way with the city. But it had good bones, good structure. Set up, when we first were working on the project, we said one thing we wanted to make sure that we set all of the elements, so we put all the elements, things to allow those for the, you know, the different parts of the open beer industry and put it in the warehouses. So every time someone renovates, does a restaurant, they can go to the bone pile and use a lot of that product. And then it's just the river. It's a very important project to then restore and renovate this section of the river and invigorate this section of the river. And so now as the river is continuing to evolve, that this is it's critical to having some level of energy adjacent to the river. So as we think about we're also simultaneously thinking about how what the materials are that are going to make it. We're very practical architects, and so it isn't something that you go back to a little bit later. You're literally thinking about it at the same time. So these are all simultaneous efforts, but it's critically important to be thinking about, you know, how do you build something that's educational. I'm sure it's going to require on this, but and so this first project is just explicit to the town market. But in this case, the contract is looking to have a 20,000. The remoteness, it looks remote, but it is relatively accessible. But it didn't have a tree line. So the building had a lot of responsibility to make space. Plan about trees almost all complex experience to patients. So we went with Render, and we found, you know, you probably heard from Rick Joy or whoever works in Render, you know, how heavy these things are, and really for us running. Very, very different piece of the puzzle. And so we found a place nearby, and so because that was strategically critically important, not all of the stuff, especially the dirt, from a very long distance. And so we and so a lot of, you know, this is the design, and you're whole lot naturally how we're thinking about the building. And then we also needed that is building quite pleasant, the building opened up to the others as well. And so, you know, big mass wall is not something to do that. So we needed a lightweight system. So, you know, using one of my favorite materials, which is recycled oil field pipes, 238 pipe, that is just so down thin, you know, strong as nails, and it's a byproduct that used to run fluid in the oil for oil pipelines, and so it is at least these days is quite readily available. And we thought a lot about how it came down to the ground and all those kind of details. So celebrating mass and these materials. Ideas going on in our head as we were working through that design of that house. And the quality. Oh, this is just you mentioned learning how to see resilience. I think we have another tree and then we also need to mention so this project, I'm showing you this one. So this was for a friend of mine. His father was one of the big high-rise architects, and so the kid growing up with a fabulous scientist. He was big on high-rise, and we have this very, very steep side. So we were thinking, in order to work with that side, we also needed to build a dock on the way. So how do you make a boathouse sit on hard granite conditions. And so that also spoke to, well, it needs to be light steel, it's going to be, we're working with a very vertical building along the hill. It needed to be stiff and strong, so, and then doing the leg, so that the two buildings were informing each other. And so therefore we built it, at least in that superstructure out of steel, but in the very context of the expense of steel is everything else is wood. So trying to still to keep it, so the real critical structural components making them out of steel and everything else made of wood, and then using that steel to tie back, contrast with this really lightly granite based cliff. So that was the notion of that project. Working with steel. One of my recent favorite projects is a project that we're working on at Trinity University, and this is explain this. This subject again is just that. So they're not new to San Antonio, work for any Ford. Medical Ford was marvelous Texas regionalist who moved to San Antonio work on some very big projects. There were renovations of some of the older sections. So he got to really appreciate older things, but he was also a modernist. And Trinity was the best examples of this work. Trinity is a small little, let's call it in the middle of town, built in an old rock quarry. And he sold they wanted to do the next place. This is the school, they're building fitness, and it's a building that and it's Presbyterian school, so next to at the time. Yeah. But anyway, the idea was, Princeton was, well, he convinced them that, modernists would be much more important. And so that's the direction the campus set. It's all about affordability. You don't want to forget. And then part of the affordability was this, he had a fabulous compadre who was made a lot of money in the oil business too, and was very intrigued by the idea of this. Let's just go back. So these are all the thing on the right is, so what he did was he thought, well, this slab, let's let it go. And I don't know why we know this slab idea, but you pour a slab on the first you pour the one slab, then you pour another slab, nobody can calm jack the slab up and the whole line in there towards concrete. There were marvelous pictures that doing this generating masses slowly becoming. But the idea of the right thing is that one of us off, it's the comments that say we've gotten, so our assignment in this case, so Neil was our fathers, we devoted the end of stage of the office, and celebrating the level of honest is also systems. So the object for us is getting the store of the company instructions. It's like getting to work on your dad's house projects. But we also got the opportunity to build. This is an engineering system. And we have to do a new building. And so naturally we went to mass timber for this. So mass timber made all the system. It would be our version of which side of the time. Most of the buildings by this time were either concrete or steel, and they were, and it was our chance to do what we imagined that we would have loved it. And so then you go in the building, it's very good to support this, but it's warm, it's a wood, stairs are wood, and they're on turns with walls. And anyway, it's a great opportunity to get back to work with some on wood. So this is a project that's on the one corner of Harnar. And here a new challenge, this is a couple hours outside of the city. The challenge is this is on the farthest peninsula of the Judge South into the Congo Bay. One of the views, fabulous place. Then north forward Unlike the Hamptons, it's more where it's the wellness section of Long Island. So you have barns, you have wineries. It's very appealing. So we were imagining there's some of what we said is still, but the challenges in this place are that it's a very expensive place to build, and it's incredibly difficult to get a permit. It takes a year. So we thought, well, and then we were near a factory, panel factory that we worked with a lot, the roof hall, Benson Road out of New Hampshire. And in fact, we were in this place where they wondered about the water and they came on. We're in and see that building something on this bringing it over my cars just seemed like the perfect solution. And it was, so we were imagining this buildings, it's a series of these simple platform buildings. But the technology played a big part of our thinking and the opportunities. But the idea was we could start the panel process well before we got a permit. And so we were putting up the permit, and by the time we get the permit, we could start all the way to the slab, and then we bring the panels in. And it also it was a speed issue. It was about the permitting process, but it was also a kind of sustainable. We would always try to imagine what we can build outside of what kind of ways we can build where people are having to travel long distances. And in this case, by having already shell, we could save a lot, or save a certain amount of money by not having to have as much with local labor costs. And then, so once you have that decision, structural engineers are critical players in our work. But in this case, we're using the engineers from that company. But we were able to do spaces like this that you wouldn't normally do. Columns would be exposed and done beautifully in New Hampshire. We could order the windows, left in advance. So things where they can see along, and then you can celebrate the volume. On the outside, inside this light, light can come in, upgrade easily in the summer, but close it in and make it really intimate in the winter. So it really worked to inform the way that we build it. So opportunities, we're always looking for clients in this for opportunities. This is this collaboration we had with a group called Icon. It is a startup company that's doing 3D printing in Austin, and the person who started the company was a client of ours that was head of a sustainable hardware business. We were doing this sustainable hardware stores, and being sustainable hardware system might work out, and we moved on to this. So, and the invitation for us was to show beautiful architecture with 3D printing and really celebrate it and build a building in Austin that people would stay in. So it's more or less prototype. And we thought, one of the interesting challenges is by seeing there's still a lot of work architecture. So what we thought too in this opportunity is how do we also think of all the other elements is prefabricated. Now we're not going to do them probably prefabricated, but it needs to be thinking about it, the next time. So it's always thinking about things that way. So we imagined a lot of the cabinetry kind of things, kitchen kind of things, a lot of the interior infill things, all out of wood. And this building did get built in 6 months, and it was during COVID, so it's quite incredible. but it was just because we really spent it along. The other part that we wanted to showcase is all the things you can do. But boy, this is the opportunity to use it. So we did these little benches, kind of rather interesting spaces, and it's a tiny house. It's really a small square footage house, but it feels quite generous. And we did that by this flooding, big space, flooding, which we didn't actually first. It was a traditional block deck and beams, but it is that by popping that roof up and then having the low closet sections, well, you get this sense of volume in that type of space. And the wild thing about the is changes in the sound, the water, the air changes. You end up with a corduroy effect. These walls are quite elevated, quite beautiful, and very soft concrete stuff. So it was, it informed how we were going to do things. I mean, the thought was not only the curves, but curves and just have to play on light and experience inside and outside. So it was, and we continue to work with them on other opportunities. In the bathroom, we did do, we for the most part, this all here with the shower, we do that, so it's been plaster piece metal space. So in San Antonio, on San River, we had this great opportunity to work with confluence one of the creeks, one of the rivers, and they've been restoring slowly in San Antonio River. Place to transfer water, place to rainwater, and the city called the plus, and so it's a big flood issue. And it was non-recorded engineers driven projects for many years. Well, finally now we're in mode of restoring all that. And so part of the restoration was doing some buildings along it that would celebrate certain sections. And in this case, our client was the nation, and they were assignment. And so they started out with hiring an artist to do this building, and they didn't soon realize that is not really the best. You really actually do this like that. That's but anyway, so we ultimately did get hired, but they told us in the very beginning that we love you, we'll be right, but if you're not one of as far as so Tara, Florida, as far as she and Tulane and he was doing all these wonderful forms with a computer, so he became our collaborator, and it was a full collaboration. And so we thought, so we wanted to build this wonderful pavilion, but in a compatible, and so. And the assignment was again, what the shared structure. So we also thought that we would one offsite, and you'll do this today is pretty straightforward. And we would pour multiple shells on site, and then this pounding it all locked in. And what we wanted to do, like, but the shells up there was like a rock of them in the profile of the grains and the same. And the author really knows this karst geological condition or rainwater is coming down limestone and creating many dry caves. So basically, when the shell structure works, it's cracks in the upper parts of the concrete when it comes together. So this is the classical building, just solid building to the right. But the pavilion, those these swivel joints that we did that were where the shells didn't have to touch. And so that's why we built all of them on site and slowly pin them. And then we had these little holes, these valuable holes that are wide. So, and then the water rolls off the edges of these things, much like it does in over, and goes into an underground cistern within it's been recycled, and all the plan naturally was native grasses to just demonstrate how to plant in South Texas. So I was sharing with you that we have been working. I thought it was good. That was good observation. Now. And it's been a passion of ours. We started this thing called the Porch House probably 15 years ago, and we come back to it for a while, and we did one since it has been it's been the goal in mind this project was to get architecture in working space. And I mean just thoughtful quality architecture. And so one of the best ways to do that would be do all pre-mapping, just like but in higher quality. But it has been but the price has been loose on all our projects. And then the people who have built them also from scratch. We had a factory was. So recently, a developer of ours in Dallas hired us to do some prototype infill housing that was based on our Porch House, and then just did a signal. And that's stuff on the right. And then now he's building the factory and is building these units. So those units are those are three things or two things that are built in a factory, shipped to the site and mantled together. And designed or preferred for infill housing rather than like Porch Houses is more rural housing. And the smaller ones are about 250. So it's starting now to be increasing. And we hope that relationship. This is actually a picture of when we were doing the Porch Houses with another person's factory. I can show that. We'll show you the method. But it'll be interesting to say. Curious how it's something that we have an obligation to constantly tweak and try and look at it. So all of this, the land, during the program of the land, thinking about how to build, it is all about ultimately sustainable business management. And it always gives opportunities. You can always do the most sustainable things at the time. So setting examples for opportunities. In this particular case, this is the Dixon Water Foundation. They're a foundation, a nonprofit that is focused on the high grass ferry inside of Dallas. And they went a visitor center that so you can experience. And they're also very interested in sustainable agriculture, combination of the role of power is in grass management. And so it was a perfect opportunity, obviously, to do. I mean, they're going to the country, they're very sustainable. But we went a lot further than that. We asked them, well, what about the building? This time, there had been central part of the United States, and so we're leveraging that opportunity. They embraced it, became a big part of their message later. And so that was before they build things. So we had rolling walls, they can knock down wind, and then thinking about the rain management, and you're collecting that off the river, off the roofs, and then the whole method of rainwater treatment in those, working in this case with biohabitats on a sustainable, septic system, not a septic, rainwater treatment system, and a winery, we just not too long ago in the old wine section of California and Paso Robles, here celebrating, the beauty of winemaking in a house in a container that would reflect well on just the whole process of winemaking. So we thought a lot about how we could have these really unconditioned shelves for the wine making, the wine storage. So very, very limited condition footprint. So a big shed that you with a window system that is automated where you can adjust and allow the cooler at night to come in and close up during the daytime, thinking a lot about circulation, airflow, and just celebrating the whole winemaking process. And then thinking about storage. Normally you might put it in a keg. In this case, we just did it as an underground bunker and then made it of concrete with these portals to bring in some natural light into these kind of cool. And this is before grasses were growing. This is up and over that collection area for the wine storage. And then in addition, pretty small minimal space for things that are required. And this is a project, a theater project in the last second of Texas. Carlson's hometown. And this was a fascinating opportunity. This was it's called the Match, and it's a mid-arts collaborative, something that match. But the assignment is to create a home for all these homeless arts organizations. And so in this case, that had 4 black and white theaters, 1 two-dimensional art area, and then a shared private space, and then a big shared administration area. But the thought was is to make it really, to make the arts that is incredibly important to Houston, but they have a really small group. So if we brought them all together in one place, they could then sell, they could share resources, they could be a destination, one destination, you always I'm going to go to Match, witness these amazing experiences there. And the idea was theaters would be used for all, but not as shared. So what we on this project, what we thought about was, well, you really want the public to understand all these different experiences. So even though everyone knows this is really hot, it should have an outdoor lobby. Which is what we did. With the idea, you're only in that space for a certain amount of time, and getting trained or and it becomes like a great shared plaza space with a big roof shading the color. And it has been very successful. It is that. So we made it in steel, perforated one, not only the greatest stair that we should go to other levels, but all about creating an open air lobby. So the lobby, you just go through the lobby, cut through on your way to the other part of Houston, and you're engaged in seeing what the different programs are. So it was something that, at the very beginning, when we posed that in our lobbies, and a lot of airflow. And so you're using the space, you're on your way to a more sustainable project. And the theaters are not the easiest things to create a sustainable income, but you can do a lot of other sources. You can arrive at a great place for that. This is just something that I wanted to share in the closing. We have an office that has people that come. David and I were on original question. It's a small family. It's a small, big town. It's a big, small town. It's different But it's been a place that has allowed us to be very involved in the town. It's small, and we used to have a lot of architects that come across the country. We've encouraged the staff to be involved in nonprofits, either neighborhood groups or river groups or doing R&D projects like this and studying the power of the linear green space in the town. And anyway, it's been a good project. It's been very successful and it's the rest of the community. And making them very part of the city. So I'm just going to end on, this is the, what we call like this. So that is it. Now let's find out who won it. All right, so how are we going to do this? Yeah. Probably should use this one. Robert's over there. I'll pay him a slide. You get very thank you.
All right.
So do we turn this off?
So, yeah, I think we can turn that off.
No,
I have no idea. That looks
No,
like that. There we go.
okay.
Let me turn it off. There we go. All right, and now we turn to our second half of the program this evening. Robert briefly introduced me earlier. My name is Anthony Frattis, and I'm assistant professor in landscape architecture here at the University of New Mexico. And I've been helping coordinate sort of the background aspects of this this competition. So thank you for joining us tonight. And before I begin, I would like to say a few things about Jeff Harnar and introduce our jury. So Jeff Harnar's designs have stood as a beacon of architectural creativity and experimental spirit in Santa Fe from his early practice in 1984 until his timely unpassing in 2006. Jeff was raised in Albuquerque, and he earned his Bachelor of Architecture degree from Arizona State University in 1977. He ran a residential design and construction business until opening his Santa Fe office. Jeff really worked organically, synthesizing material, cultural, environmental resources into an architecture of his time. Jeff created an impressive body of work by fearlessly creating contemporary buildings here in Santa Fe, or up in Santa Fe, I should say, with a degree of risk and extreme creativity. This award inspires and honors designers with Jeff's exploratory spirit and his skill guiding clients who followed his path. And I also wanted to ask, is there anyone here present tonight that used to know Jeff Harnar at all? Is it? All right. So I just wanted to see if anyone was here and if they wanted to say a few words. So, but again, thank you all for joining us tonight. A little bit of history about the award. So this award started in 2007, as we noted last night up in Santa Fe. This originally started as an award for contemporary architecture, which it remained that way for quite some time until 2018, when it started to expand into unbuilt architecture and unbuilt landscape architecture. It wasn't until 2021 where it really expanded the award from the award for contemporary architecture and unbuilt architecture and landscape, and we started exploring some different topics where we looked at emerging New Mexico practice, but also started including student work in architecture and landscape architecture. And as if anyone participated in the juror roundtable last night or listened in on that, we are always in conversation of this continued evolution of this award. Because in 2021, we also expanded from just being New Mexico to looking at the Four Corners states, and this is continuing to redefine what is the Southwest, because the original award was the award for contemporary architecture in the Southwest. And there was some fantastic discussion around that last night as we started to massage this boundary with the student award, looking at ecoregions. We were talking about watersheds, and just looking at the original indigenous inhabitants of this region and how they've also adapted to this landscape. So the award continues to evolve. But without further ado, I'm just gonna rip the envelope open here and we'll start to take off in the awards. But I do want to introduce the jury this year. And before we announce with the second prize in architecture for the student award, I'd like to introduce Renee Davids, who's a professor of architecture and urban design at the College of Environmental Design at the University of California, Berkeley. He's joining us online. Is he joining us online, Renee?
Here he is.
All right. Mary Harden from the university, she's a university distinguished professor of architecture at the University of Arizona College of Architecture, Planning and Landscape Architecture. And Fritz Steiner, who's the Dean and Paley Professor of Landscape Architecture at the University of Pennsylvania School of Design. Our jurors for this category can't be here in person today, but two of them are on Zoom and we'll share a few remarks about our student winners when we announce them. And the student award for architecture, second prize, goes to Desert Senses by Andrea Mohena from the University of Nevada, Las Vegas. And okay. Oh, hey. All right. Come on down. Yeah. Congratulations.
Thank you so much.
Yes, and thank you for coming. You can stay down here for a few moments. And we'll put you on the spotlight just for a little bit, but Fritz and Renee, would you like to say anything about Andrea's entry?
Congratulations. And we wanted to say that we were really impressed with the project because it seemed to capture the desert and that special area of the desert really well. We were also impressed by the 4 categories she used, which were under the ground, in the ground, on the ground, and over the ground. And these spatial differences we thought were sort of really appropriate for expressing the idea of the desert, the vastness, and the relationship to the sky. And we also thought that the gestures were subtle and they seem to capture everything which is so dramatic about the desert. Fritz, do you have anything to add?
Yeah, I'd like to also just add my congratulations and just we found it a very stunning presentation. And there was a very strong linkage between the analysis and the design, and especially attention, as Renee said, to the environment, but also careful use of materials and exploration of materials.
And also the sketches we thought were particularly nice. They seemed to lead in a very fluent way into the design, and we were impressed by that as well.
Great. Thank you very much. And thank you, Jerry. Congratulations. All right. And the student award for architecture first prize goes to Silver City Recreation Center by Thomas Bachek. Leading the student up today. What's that? Oh, yeah. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Yeah, which,
I have no idea.
oh, that's really bright.
I go here.
Which one? Did I just shut all lights off? There we go. All right. And jurors, would you like to provide any comments on Thomas's book?
Congratulations to Thomas and the University of New Mexico. It's great to have one of their students winning the first award. We were really impressed with the concept, which was derived from the mine. It seemed very appropriately used in the building itself. We loved the use of materials and thought it highlighted the spirit of the desert. This slide actually shows a very interesting relationship between, I think it between two of the functions of the recreational facility, which was there's a running track you can see on this bluish color on the top, looking down onto the basketball fields, which we thought was a really nice, interesting thing to develop. So we were really impressed both by the outside and the inside of the project, and thought it was extremely well resolved, executed.
We also found it a very convincing design because of its thoroughness. It went from concept all the way through, fairly detailed designs with a very effective rendering, such as this one, and very convincing. So we thought that it stood out for its quality, but also it was probably the most thorough of the architecture and student entries as well. So congratulations.
Thank you.
Good time. All right, and now to landscape architecture. The second prize for the student award in landscape architecture goes to Valley of the Mills, Recommoning Land Along the Upper Rio Mora by Leah Grieser, University of New Mexico. Congratulations.
Well, congratulations. Last night at the roundtable, there was a fair amount of discussion about J.B. Jackson, and in this particular project, there's sort of a feeling of Jackson as far as looking at and going through the landscape. It also did a really fantastic job of looking at cultural and ecological revitalization following the devastation of a fire. It showed a great amount of social consciousness as well as environmental consciousness. A very well done and thorough project. And I would just add, Renee really loved this one a lot.
Yeah, but I don't have that much to add to Fred. I thought it was really well researched and nicely presented, and it seemed to sort of bring an old technology into back, but given that it was a small project, it seemed really appropriate, and I just thought it was very sensitive to the land. Yeah, I did like it a lot. Congratulations.
And now for the first prize in landscape architecture for the student award. And the first prize goes to How to Love a Mesquite by Hollis Moore, University of New Mexico.
Is Hollis there?
Hollis, are you here tonight? Hollis, how could you do this?
Well,
Is Hollis online?
we want to congratulate Hollis. This was all of the three jurors all voted. This was our only unanimous choice, and we all really ranked this first. It was it's a lot about healing. It's about the Shawaling Desert. Very strong analysis. Really like the mixing of media, everything from watercolor to GIS strong sections and renderings. Just an overall thorough and well done project.
Yeah, as Fred said, we all agreed. I think it was the best research and the most interesting of all the landscape projects. I was really impressed by the way it's sort of mixed the idea of the landscape, the animal habitat and humans all coming together to restore and the ecology. So it wasn't trying to like many projects of this sort do eliminate or try to eliminate human beings, but they were very much part of sort of the bringing back of the state in particular.
Great. Thank you very much. And congratulations,
Yeah.
Hollis.
The absent Hollis.
All right. And next we move to a new category. This is the Professional Unbuilt Award for architecture and landscape architecture. However, we did not receive any entries in landscape architecture this year. So, but I would like to introduce our juries. Jennifer Siegel is the founder and principal of Office of Mobile Design, or OMD, and also a professor at USC. Carlos Jimenez is a professor of architecture at Rice University. And we're also joined by Gabriel Diaz Montemayor, associate professor of landscape architecture at the University of Arkansas. And we are happy to have all three jurors with us today. And the award for architecture goes to Parawan by Assemblage Studio from Las Vegas, Nevada. Oh, oh, well, congratulations. All right. Well, congratulations. And would you like to make any comments about this entry? What's that? Yeah, you can. Oh, yeah, I'll slide you more image.
You guys go there.
Yeah.
So we can see all.
I know, just check for.
She's getting recorded.
Oh. How do these lights work? There we go. That's a little bit.
No, like you had them before.
Hey, what's that? Does sort of work? Okay. Okay. What's that?
How should we do this? I'll see a couple things just. Is there a microphone?
No, you just shout out.
Just shout out? Okay.
Yep.
I mean, first of all, it was a joy to work with these two as on our Zoom jury, and then to meet here in person and spend a few days together, really talking about architecture and concepts and ideas and the thought behind this amazing prize and its evolution. It's just been what a gift to be here. And this project really stood out in the category of unbuilt architecture. The presentation style, like these watercolors, the purity and the sincerity of the design, I think came across through the media, the attention to detail. And then also, I think what stood out to me was its relationship to elements in nature, that it's making a relationship to maybe the skin or the of a tree, and how that material can then inform of the building. And there's a concert between those two elements.
Maybe, along these lines, I think this is one project in which it was very clear to us that there was an intentionality on place, right? We have been discussing, as it happened yesterday, on what is the Southwest, what is this awards program going to be looking at as it continues to evolve. And in that regard, the project, as can be demonstrated by a series of renderings and the watercolors, is very clearly attempting to establish that relationship, an understanding of architecture as a vehicle for place and nature.
Can everyone hear me? Yes.
Yeah,
Oh.
yeah.
Oh, the microphone.
I think you can just.
Oh,
talk.
okay. Sorry. Anyway, thank you for being here this evening. First, I want to also thank my colleagues. We had a wonderful set of discussions via Zoom, and then obviously in person. But it's always gratifying to participate in these events and find a work that truly, let us say, summarizes in many ways or distinguishes in other ways the intention behind this series of awards. And what we love about this project, aside from the comments that have been made, is the sensibility that was displayed in presenting the work. Obviously, it's not built or it will be built. And so the presentation really communicates and carries the dimensions and the potentials of the work. So it was very moving to see practically every drawing attending to that future that will come when the project is finished. But I will say personally that I will also could settle in the presentation, because it's such a central system of tools and instruments and techniques. And Jennifer pointed out the watercolors, which were quite persuasive in the way that they create an atmosphere, and also the diagrams. But then you start to see the more, let us say, technical drawings, and they have the same detailing and sensibility. And we love the interior renderings too, that began to relate the continuity of a landscape that obviously overwhelms the architecture. And there's an image where you see the columns almost emulating the treescape, and really a very—
The aspens.
Yeah,
right?
the
They're
aspens, yes. And I know it's not a New Mexico project, but it's wonderful to welcome another state in the Four Corners. So congratulations.
All right. So this year we did add another award as we're starting to play around with some different categories, and we're trying to look at ways that this award can also align better with the foundation. So this category, we're looking at a jury nominee or a jury nominated project that they thought had a strong sense of social justice in architecture, but also looking at it through the lens of the Jeff Harnar Award, where there's a lot of creative experimentation within the project. This was something that came up in the conversation last night, and I think for me, you know, seeing all the entries, this really made this project kind of click in my mind. So, but you know, the jury will explain some of the thought process behind this, but really interesting project. What's that? Oh, yeah, we can take that down for a second. Yep, that one. So there we go. All right. And the award for the social justice prize goes to Casa Covida in La Florida, Colorado. I was going to say Florida, Colorado, from the Making Object. And excellent, you made it. Congratulations.
Nice to see you. Congratulations. Wow.
Please go ahead.
Oh.
Yep.
I'll do. All right. This project was particularly appropriate for this category. I think what the project is trying to explore, it's a very significant question with regards to how these technologies can be appropriated, made available to communities who are underinvested, remote, and have been, of course, subject to critical environmental or social conditions, which are always important questions with regards to anytime we develop a new technology and consider how this can be really beneficial to the majority or more people other than just that will be able to afford it no matter what. So in that regard, we felt that the exploration is obviously very grounded, right? Very grounded in place, in culture, and it seems to be a very compelling way to explore how to make 3D printing, which in many ways continues to feel, unaffordable, of difficult access. It's really an exploration to make it happen for everyone, right? So we appreciate that very much.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it's so interesting also to see Ted's, right, exploration of, so this is 3D printed, right, concrete. And so the idea is that,
This is
you know,
3D printed
Adobe. Okay. Of course it is. This is 3D printed Adobe. And the idea is that, like, what is social and environmental and I can't even, I don't think I could say it better than what you were saying, but what makes it accessible is the manufacturing process, and as opposed to maybe a concrete block that anybody could pick up and lift, and it's the least expensive building element you can find, then there's mud, and then there's dirt, and like, how does that begin to evolve the conversation of affordability? And maybe it's about the manufacturing process that we need to be thinking about, because the future is really in how things are made and how they're delivered to the site. And the design opportunities here are tremendous, right? This could become a city. This could become any kind of a program you can imagine. So I think we saw through your vision, the possibilities of what the future will bring.
Yeah, I don't think I can add much, but really congratulations. It's a project that also convinces of the beauty that architecture, regardless of its technical prowess, has, because it's basically a quite beautiful object in a landscape that has this sensual interior, as you can see here. So there is a dignity and a simplicity and poverty in the right meaning of the word. The word means that it's ultimate luxury to have this place where rituals and life itself takes place. So it gave us a sense of being a project that can be exemplary for other kinds of projects. Conventional.
And my apologies, I did get the location wrong on that slide. Emergent Objects is from Oakland, California. So that was a little slip up on me.
No, the project is enough.
Oh, no, I had Las Vegas, Nevada for your actual location. So just to clarify that. So thank you very much. So, all right. All right. Now for the Contemporary Architecture Award in the Southwest, the big prize for this evening. And this is our last award. Two of our three jurors are joining us today. Unfortunately, Reed Kroloff, Dean of the Illinois Institute of Technology College of Architecture, was unable to participate this year. But joining us are Ted Flato, of course, who had our wonderful keynote presentation this evening, who's the founder and principal of Lake Flato Architects, and Alexandra Yashke, Assistant Professor of Architecture and Sustainable Design at the University of Texas, Austin. And this year's award goes to the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service via Delaware National Wildlife Refuge Center. Affirmative architecture.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Thanks, Al.
All right, jurors.
Yes, you go, yes. Well, pretty much, yeah. But
And one thing really quick, a big part of the award for contemporary architecture in the Southwest, and also looking at equity, diversity, and inclusion, there is one really significant question that all applicants must answer. And this is, if selected as the award recipient, please describe how your firm would use the $10,000 prize to enhance diversity, equity, and inclusion within your practice. And this should transcend a general equity, diversity, inclusion statement and speak directly to specific actions that this award would support. This is just one excerpt of a fantastically wonderful statement that the firm provided. But I'll just let you take a moment to look at and read this statement. And jurors, we'd love to hear your comments. So
Alexandra.
please go
Yeah,
ahead.
okay, I'll go ahead. So, of course, this project is not only excellent in terms of its design qualities, and I actually went there this morning to check it out in person and can confirm that I'm really happy that we made this decision, because it really frames the landscape in a beautiful and light way without actually overpowering it. And it seems to float above this immense plain, and using materials that are contemporary, but at the same time, very beautifully integrated with the land. And I'm sure that with time, the project will gradually blend even more into the landscape. This is something that takes time. But one thing I wanted to say is that, to add to that, is that what I really wanted to recognize in this project is also an architectural office that decides to take a risk and work with a public institution and really commit themselves to a lower budget, perhaps, project to actually make contemporary architecture accessible to a wider public. And at the same time, not only do that, but do it on a project that brings people closer to land and closer to the landscape by framing it, making it visible, making it more than just a wasteland. So for me, that engagement and your continuous effort and dedication to that cause, I think in itself just really deserves recognition. So congratulations.
Well, I wanted to just add a few additional words. I knew this project quite well. So when I came to University of New Mexico, this was the project that we did for our class. So, and it was a challenging, so I knew it. And so it's lovely to see what you had done. There's nothing nicer than to have already imagined something and then to see how it is done in the hands of a really talented group of architects. And one of the things that I was very aware of that, you know, you had to kind of dig deep to find that in your text, but I was well aware of the conditions, which this was a design build project. It had a set budget in the beginning, and it's you had to put a lot of effort into it with the contractor, collaborating with the contractor to have a design that they would also agree to build for a certain price. Not an easy thing to do at all. And so the simplicity and the restraint that you did of that, just that very, very simple folded roof, you know, obviously convinced them that they could build it within those numbers. But it's you had to run at that pretty rapidly. And I don't know if, you know, this was the first iteration. I can't wait to find out. But anyway, you know, really congratulations to a marvelous project and a good, a wonderful gift to the community. So thank you. Thank you.
And would the team like to say anything this evening? So
I would like to say that this was a great collaboration, first and foremost, my partner, Owen Cramey, but then also a lot of other individuals that couldn't be here tonight. I do see Kenneth Francis in the surroundings crew up there. I want to give a special shout out. We also heard about biohabitats and Erin English and her great team who helped with sustainability on the site for this project. As mentioned, also, this was a great collaboration with contractors. So I want to give a special shout out to Brycon as well as CF Padilla from the Isleta Pueblo. And most importantly, to our great client, U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service, specifically Jeff Johns and Refuge Manager Jennifer Owen White. So thank you all very much for those that are here and those that aren't. Wow, wow, I messed up, a very big player. Weddle Gilmore, Phil Weddle was an incredible collaborator on this process. Couldn't have done it without him. Really enjoyed working with him. Very talented architect.
Yeah, just did a lot of hard work from a lot of team members, a lot of really talented people. So it's a really, really amazing project for the community. So everybody enjoys it. If you get a chance, make it down. It's not too far from town, 20 minutes south. So yeah, thanks for selecting us.
all right, yeah, we can hit it. And with the sunset as a parting shot.
Oh, did I ruin it?
No, we're all good. So,
A
Robert.
lot of people still here.
So,
Well, thank you all for joining us. Thank you to our jury again. Nice food and drinks out there, so go enjoy yourself.